Hi, everyone. Good morning. Oh, hello, hello. All right. Cameras, please. All right. So we're moving into class 10. And I don't know about you. I mean, I always feel like the way this practice works for me is that more and more each of the teachings become interconnected. Like I'll go to a class with my teacher, I'll be studying one thing, I'll be studying another thing, and all the pieces just kind of keep, there's a continuity that seems to happen. And then that continuity happens in my life too. It's almost like all the environmental results, all the environmental karmas are like, they're all like working or conspiring together. It's like a, it's like a positive paranoia where it's like, this morning I was meditating and thinking about having an uncomfortable situation with somebody and we're not communicating very well. And I'm like, I'm kind of annoyed, right? And the communication I'm getting is even more annoying. And I was like, I'm like, all right, well, okay, look, Tim, you're teaching Shanti Deva. And you're like, how much are you self-cherishing? Right? That's my first question. Like, how much are you self-cherishing in this interaction and how much are you perpetuating this interaction? Right. And today's class is incredibly, I don't know. I always say like every class is important. Like this one, this this class is kind of the culmination of the whole course. That if you start doing this practice and you don't do any other practice, this is the one practice that can really uplift you and really get your seeds activated, both in like, the normal worldly sense, your relationships, your work, your money, your health, all those things. And then also within like the larger spiritual goals as well. And I don't know. I mean, I've been teaching these courses. We started ACI 1 what, 3.5 years ago, something like that. And it just seems to be like I'm seeing the genius of the design more so than I saw ever before. Like there's going through the courses, going through the material bit by bit, learning by learning, and then seeing how it all shapes together. There's a reason why it takes 6 years to do it, and it's okay. Right. Yeah, Shanti, the review class is next Wednesday, the 17th, I think. Whatever next Wednesday is. Yes, the 17th. So before we move into all of that fun details, I wanted to discuss a little bit about where are we going? Like where are we, like what's the long game? And some of you study with different teachers and every teacher has their own style. right? They have their own style of how they give class, how they relate with the material, what kind of expectations they have. And there's some teachers that don't let you come to the next class unless you've had the homework done from the previous class. Right. And I'm like, I could do that. But it's not my style. Like, for me, I think if people, it's just not my style. I'm not judging the other styles. Right. And I think I see the value in kind of, creating that structure for people. Do you want to advance? And this is a sign of commitment or a sign of seriousness. That's fine. And everyone has their ways of doing it. And I think people are attracted to certain types of teachers because of certain personalities, right? I'm going to probably guess, for those of you that come to these classes frequently, that's not your style. If I said that to you, you'd be like, and you probably wouldn't come back. It's just not the way you learn. It's not the way you engage. And maybe, I don't know. However, or in addition, there is a certain importance, and I've been highlighting it more and more very slowly. There is an importance to doing those other elements of the ACI courses, like the homeworks, quizzes, and final exams. And my arm was twisted last 2 weeks, to write down a policy, because that's what I have to do as executive director. I have to do boring stuff like policy, and it makes sense in a lot of ways on how we navigate these courses and what our expectations are. And one of those expectations are, we have 3 courses at the end of the series, course 16, 17, and 18. We're on 11, so don't worry. We still got a year and a half. Okay. 16, 17, and 18 are considered capstone courses, meaning you take them after you've done the courses, and they're reviews of the entire first 15 courses. It's like, now that you've learned everything, let's teach it again in an overview kind of way, and in new ways of how we connect the ideas together. Because it's hard sometimes, like when you're in the middle of a course, like, how does this relate to course 8? How does this relate to course 13? How do they all come together? And so we do a full review of all the material in 3 courses. And there's an extreme value in doing that. Like, just how many times have I gone over these courses? And I'm like, as I'm listening to the classes again and then reading and studying, the depth opens up. Like, it's almost like the first time through is like, I don't know. It just feels like you're being like dumped into a garden on a new planet where you don't know the names of any of the flowers. And you're like, wow, this is beautiful, but you're like completely overwhelmed with everything. And then we do it again, and then you start seeing those patterns. You start seeing how to integrate. You start relating the material differently to your life, because Dharma is not the books. Dharma is not the classes. Dharma is how you live it. Yes, it's in the books. Yes, it's in the classes. And yes, we're going to keep preserving the books, and we're going to keep giving classes. Okay. And it's in you. How do you live? How have you changed? Who are you now that you weren't 3 months ago? Or who are you now that you weren't 4 years ago when you started? Or whenever you started. And I think it's worth taking that time to look at yourself and say, well, who was I before? How am I different? What has changed for me? You know, for me, what I can say is that when someone sends me an upset text message, I'm not like sitting there for 2 hours crafting the best reply anymore. I'm saying, I hear you. Let me know when you have some availability to talk so we can understand each other better. Period. Bye. Right? Of course, that's not the answer the person wanted. The person wanted the fight. But I don't want the fight. I want to understand. I don't want to engage it that way. And so I slept really well. This was right before I went to bed. Annoying. This is why you should shut off your phones 2 hours before you go to bed. Don't look at them. It'll disturb your sleep. Right? But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the capstone courses, 16, 17, and 18. And as I was writing the policies, these are things I've already said, and we put together in a light way, but we actually wrote it out this time. You know, to get a certificate in those courses is a lot more difficult than in the other 15 courses. So in order to get the certificate for 16, which is a review of classes 1 through 5, you have to already have those 5 classes done. For 17, you have to have classes 6 through 10 done. And done means homework, quizzes, exams, certificate. Okay. Course 18 is 11 through 15, right? You can certainly come to those classes. There's nothing keeping you back from coming to the classes. But if you want to get those final completion karmas, you have to do it in that order. Oh, Tim, what if I take your class and then finish courses 1 through 5? No. Take my class, do courses 1 through 5, and then take 16 again. You see, it's designed to be a capstone course. It's designed to be a mastery course, right? And then that's what's it's also designed to prepare you for entrance into the Diamond Way as well, you see. And I was having a conversation yesterday with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about various students we have, and we like, how would you deal with this challenge? How would you deal with this challenge? How would you respond to this? Oh, I'm having, teachers are not free of afflictions. I mean, you're supposed to see your teacher as a Buddha and do all of those things, and great. But I'll tell you, from my side, irrespective of how you see me, I experience afflictions. Okay. And how to support each other. So we have I have a support group of other teachers that we talk with each other on how we're supporting our students. And we got to a place where we were like, what do we do with with people who are ready for Diamond Way but haven't finished their 18 courses yet? Like, what do you do? What, like, they're having experiences that you're like, we should be doing some different work, right? And we were just like, we thought about it, and then we were like, no. They're getting Diamond Way courses in the ACI. They're getting Diamond Way understandings in the ACI courses. We need to get those done first. Because every single time something happens, it's not like you have this higher view, and then the lower view goes away. All of it fits together. All the puzzle pieces are coming together. So when Shantideva starts talking about Dakchenzen, you're self-cherishing, right? If you don't have a way of getting that under control and working with it, you can forget about Diamond Way working. Oh, but they're advanced teachings. You know what's advanced teaching? Just stopping your self-cherishing. That's the most advanced teaching. It's very fascinating. Like, we have this idea that, oh, I'm in the secret teachings. Yeah, you know what the secret teaching is? Learning how to stop taking care of only yourself. That's the secret teaching. It's an ACI 11, class 10. And then just add a little extra, right? Oh, this person who wrote me a text last night, who are they? Are they a person who's having an affliction, who's upset, who's writing nasty text to me? Or are they a Buddha who's forcing Tim to get up in the morning and meditate on his own self-cherishing? There you go. There's Diamond Way for you. You don't have to take any other courses. Okay, mainly. Okay, you don't need anything else. You don't need much more than that, right? So then it's like, who are they? And then you do all the stuffs in this class, exchanging self and others, go into their point of view. What's going on for them? How do they want me to treat them? How do they want to be heard? What's going on inside there? Right? This person feels hurt. This person feels disconnected. This person is responding in ways that's trying to protect them. They don't want to get hurt. And so they're going to respond in a way that hurt other people first so they can protect themselves. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I'm going to be snarky and sarcastic and tell someone else why they're misbehaving, so I don't have to feel the pain. I don't have to feel that pain. So if they're responding to their pain by reaching out to you and being snarky towards you, if you understand anything about sutra, anything about seeds, what should you not do? Don't react exactly the same. Oh, don't get snarky back. Now, that doesn't mean, accept, don't be a pushover. And, if people violate your boundaries or people are saying mean things, you can respond and say, hey, that's not cool. But don't be snarky back, because their attack towards you puts you on the defensive. You feel like you have to protect yourself. Oh my God, you don't understand me. That's not what's happening. You did this, this, and this. You're hurting me this, and this way. Right? And then you just basically launch it back. It's like playing tennis. Oh, here you go. This is why you're a jerk. Jerk. Don't be a jerk towards me because these are all the things you're doing. Don't hurt me. Bam. Right. And then you just escalate. Right. And then and then how do you see escalation? Oh, I don't know, maybe politics in your country. How does that seed ripen? I don't know. You get politicians who act exactly like you in bigger, more destructive ways. Oh, I'm just going to destroy this one person. I'm going to show them why they're so wrong. Right? Then you feel good about yourself. Then all of a sudden you see politicians who, with their words, destroy an entire group of people. And that's how we get the things like the Holocaust, for example. Okay. One person says, we don't like those people. Those people are dangerous. We need to take care of them. Right. Now, none of us on this here, I hope not, have those seeds in our heart. Right. We don't really wish that upon people. In fact, the person who was writing me wasn't wishing harm on me. They want the opposite. They want connection. They want closeness. They want intimacy. Right. That's all that we all want. But then we start acting in ways to get it that hurt people. So if I respond with my Dak Chenzen and feel attacked, am I going to create more connection or am I going to create more distance? You tell me. One insult leads to another insult, leads to a larger insult. Then the words get bigger, they get meaner, they get nastier, right? How can you disagree? And disagreement can also be a way of creating connection and intimacy. But how do you do it? Right? How do you respond? That's not my experience. Like, I value this connection. Right, of course. Right. Space and detachment is good, can be a good thing. But how do you ask for that? How do you discuss that? How do you create that? Do you create it with negative words? You create it with positive words. Like are you holding on to yourself or are you holding on to something larger? And this is what Shantideva asks us. He's asking us, he's asking us to not be blind, right? Don't be blinded. Okay. Don't be blinded by your self-cherishing, right? And what happens is, just like in this picture, she's being blinded by the sun. Like she can't see, right? Her self-cherishing, her protection of herself is so strong that she's not able to see, you know, I don't know who this is and I don't know what she really is, but, we're pretending that this is somebody who's constantly engaged in self-cherishing. Okay. Is completely blinded and can't see what she's doing. The thing that she wants and the things that she's planting the seeds for are different. And this is where we need to really dive in. Like, I'm going to say something a little bit radical today. And I want to just let's just hold on to it for a little bit and we'll get through it. Even your Buddhism can be a form of self-cherishing. Okay. And we need to unpack what I just said a bit. So first, Shantideva is saying, looking out for number one, only looking out for yourself is what blinds us, just like in that picture, from reaching any of our goals. And then you're like, okay, well, let's do the 4 steps. Okay, good. All right. We learned that in order to get something that you want, you have to give it to somebody else first. Right? Good. Right? That changes about 99% of the way that we normally act. Right? I want connection. So what I'm going to do is tell you in nasty words all the things you do to create disconnection. Oh, you want connection with people? Okay, let's do the 4 steps, Tim. I'm not worried about this other person anymore. Okay, I am, but just hold that for a second. I want to find connection with people, right? I want more connection. I want to feel safe. I want to feel heard. I want to be respected. All these things. So then I need to plant those seeds. I need to go looking for other people who have the same problem, right? Or I just really needed to go look at the way that I treat other people. Like, do I respect them? Do I listen to them? Do I create connection or do I create distance? How do my words create closeness or how do my words create distance? How do I engage a conversation? Hey, look, the words you used yesterday didn't feel so good to me. And you're important to me. I would like to, let's talk about this. Okay. Planting seeds, planting seeds. Oh, let's go simpler. Money. I need some money. Okay, fine. Do I work harder or do I become more generous? Do I become cheaper and more stingy or do I become more generous? Right? The teachings say, well, we need to become more generous. We need to take care of other people in order for it to come back to us. Now, my question is, how much self-cherishing is in that act? I want more money, so I'm going to go take care of, I'm going to be more generous. How much of you is only thinking about you when you're giving money to somebody else? How much of you is thinking, well, I don't want to be treated this way because it really hurts. So I'm going to treat others differently. Is anyone ready to argue with me? Is anyone willing to be like, what the hell have I been doing in ACI classes for 4 years? You just told me everything you just told me is now wrapped up in self-cherishing and I'm stuck. Now you've made it impossible for me to plant good seeds, Tim, because now I'm only thinking about you're making me realize I'm only thinking about myself. Hmm. Hmm. How are we going to get out of this? Well, Z, that's one way of doing it. Okay. We will get out of it by the end. Okay. And the thing is, I'll just in case your Zoom call dies and you never hear the answer. Let's just do it really quickly. Yes, there's still self-cherishing in infecting it. But the act of forcing yourself to take care of others is what will reduce your self-cherishing. It's a reduction. It's a bit by bit. You get to a place that then you ask the question that Z asked, well, which self are we referring to? Who is the person who's self-cherishing? That this is the answer to the question, how is it possible to see emptiness directly if you've never seen it before? How do I give an experience to someone else if I've never had it before? This is the big debate question. Oh, Tim, I want to see emptiness directly. Okay, good. Go plant the seed. That's what you told me. Okay, great. How do I give somebody an experience that I have never had? I get this question all the time. And the answer is you use the brokenness of samsara against itself. You use self-cherishing as a means to get out of self-cherishing. Decide what you want. I want money. Oh, Tim needs money. Oh, how do you get money? I should invest in the stock market. Or I should buy some crypto. Or I should compete for that job. Alexander and I are competing for that job, and I have to write a better resume so I could beat him in that job. Right? Wait, you can't give your husband, you're going to give me $30. Your husband's losing out on the job, Cornelia. I think it just, anyway, whatever. You can give me $30. That's great. But the answer is that, okay, we tried everything, and some things work and some things don't work. And we learn that the advices that we get from people sometimes work and they sometimes don't work. So there has to be another way. If investing in the stock market always worked, then we'd all be rich. Right? Nice. I love that you guys are supporting ACI. I'm going to give you another reason to support ACI in a moment. And so if we've learned in life that things don't work the way we think they work, then you hear this system and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll try this. I've tried everything else. You have to give others, you have to be generous towards others first. Okay. And then all the wealth that you could possibly ever want will be there. And once you start having that experience, then you're like, oh, this is an interesting thing. Right? So we're taking our self-cherishing. I want something for me. And we're just tweaking it a little bit and saying, well, just help somebody else get the same thing. And your Doc Chenzen's like, it's not so bad. I'm still going to get money in the end. I'm still going to be healthy in the end. I'm still going to get the relationship in the end. Okay. Right. And so we're using it against itself, basically. Okay. But if we're so holding on to it, it's what's blocking us from seeing us reach our goals. And that's the main point, is that if we're so stuck on this, right? And this is, this concept comes from Shantideva. You probably have heard it. But our greatest demon is that, right? This demon, okay, is holding on to a burning ember, a burning coal in their hand, okay? And they're screaming in agony, screaming in pain. And then you come along and you're like, what's wrong? And he's like, my hand hurts. I'm burning. Everything is awful. Right. And you're just like, dude, just let it go. Let the hot coal go. And it'll stop hurting. And he doesn't let go. No, that's not why. That's not why I'm in pain. I was trying to find the video last night of like, there's like this little kid. He's holding on to a I don't know, some kind of bar, and there's water running underneath him, and he's screaming in agony, like going to die. The world is ending, and you see like, you can hear in the background, you can hear someone saying, just put your feet down, just put your feet down. No, I can't. No, I can't. Like, right. And all of a sudden he tries, and the water is like, this deep. And the kid puts their feet down and then is like, oh, let's go to the bar, and like stops crying immediately. Problem solved. Right. I couldn't find the video. So I have this picture of this guy holding onto a coal. Right. And that's what our self-cherishing is doing, is like, when somebody writes us a text that attacks us, all we want to do is write back and be correct. That feeling, get used to the feeling of your own self-cherishing. And in your back of your mind, if you've been coming to these classes enough, you know what the right seed to plant is. You're like, oh, well, I should understand their point of view. I should try to calm them down. I should, try to understand their point of view. And when the time is right, I can talk about how I was hurt as well and how we can reestablish connection. I know all these things. But Doc Chenzen is like, no, we need to defend ourselves. We need to, like, thinking about like, I don't know, like, I'm just thinking of like Braveheart or like any of these movies like Lord of the Rings, right before they attack, right? And the general up front is like, gives the speech, right? Like puts the arms up, gets everyone excited, motivated. We will save our lands from the tyranny of, whatever bad guy there is. Right. And then once those horses start charging, it's over. right? You can forget about any good seeds being planted. You just go bam, right? The self-cherishing starts to take over, right? Do you want to be happy, as Shanti says, or do you want to be right? Well, being right will make me happy, Shanti. Let's go. Bam. I'll show them, right? And once those horses go, it's done. Forget it. But that demon, like, become friends with that demon in you. What do they feel like to you? Learn how to recognize how they move through your inner body. Where do you feel them? Where do you feel it when you want to be right? Or when someone's irritating you and you have to correct them? Where is it in your body? The battle, even if you lose the battle and still write back in an hour or 2 minutes or the next day, you had the battle, right? But it's that space of just let go of it, right? You can still talk about how you experience things. You can still make requests of how you prefer to be treated. You can still create boundaries. But do you create more connection or do you create less connection? Do you create more intimacy or do you create more distance? Do you create more love or do you create more hatred? How quickly a relationship can fall apart in 3 days because of those kinds of conversations. Right? Let go of the goal. Let go of the burning ember. Let go of the thing that you're holding onto, which is actually creating more pain. Oh, Tim, what if I can't let go of it? That's why we practice. Okay. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a week. It doesn't happen in a month. It can move quickly. But if you could do that, I think this is our next t-shirt, ACI. Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? Ask yourself that question. Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? Well, then we need to change it just a little bit to make it ACI. Do you want to be happy? And I think that's an interesting question. What things are you doing that are making you unhappy? What things are you doing on a day-to-day basis that are just creating more unhappiness? And so Shantideva goes on to say, and this is where he gets really radical, and he says, you will move when you really get this, you'll move into a position where all you're going to do is think about, how do I serve other people? How can I be their servant? Right? Oh, Tim, but if I don't take care of myself, how can I serve others? I didn't say don't take care of yourself. Didn't say that. But even the clothes on your back, your house, everything that you have doesn't really belong to you anyway. The things that you're holding on to never belong to you in the first place. And you have to meditate on that, because this isn't a kind of like, oh, just give up everything and like put on a loincloth and go walk around the world, right? As a, a poor yogi who doesn't have anything. That's not what it's saying. But what we're saying is that if you're able to let go of your self-cherishing, then you'll have everything you want in the world and more. It's the weirdest thing. You can't stop stuff from coming to you. You can't stop people from helping you. You're like, because then when people help you, you understand why they're helping you. And then you understand, well, in order to keep that going, you still need to continue to help other people. And it becomes a upward spiral. Well, Alexander, you just answered homework question number 2. Direct quote from Lama Marood. He was a beautiful man. Took some classes with him. But I really want to convey this idea of how deep our tendency just to only look out for ourselves is. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taste, just so you don't think that I'm like BSing you, giving you a bunch of, crap. Just because we say the greatest enemy is only looking out for yourself, and the greatest enemy is caring for yourself, and then we will eventually become servants of others so much that our own clothes and possessions, we will consider them belonging to other people. In the Diamond Way, you have a vow of not hurting yourself. Okay. So just Barbara's super happy. ¿Qué hace ahí? ¿Está bailando? Mira. Look at her. Oh, we got to keep going. Oh, dang. Barbara was dancing. I don't know what she was dancing about, but that's great. You see, so it doesn't mean we don't not care for ourselves. And that's not what we're saying at all. And then you have to meditate on, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to have a distinction between me and other? What does it mean to say, I'm only taking care of others? Shendun Chir. Semke Pani Shendun Chir. Bodhicitta, right? The mind of bodhicitta, right? For the benefit of others, I shall reach total enlightenment. Okay, for the benefit of others. So like, you got to understand that it doesn't mean you're just like turning yourself over to other people, right? And being a doormat for them. You see, so you have to you got to walk. There's a middle way here. Okay, so how do we practice this? Like, what is the depth of this practice? And the foundational practice, it's actually one of the most difficult practices to do, and you have to be ready to do it, because it can be very depressing very fast. Okay. Because it forces you to look at your own self-chenchen, your own dak-chenzen, your own self-cherishing. It'll force you to really look at the ways that you're only taking care of yourself. The ways that you are right, and the ways that you're not making yourself happy. All right. So you've heard about the practice of exchanging self and others, I'm sure. Oh, put your mind in someone else, put yourself in their shoes. That's not exchanging self and others. That's not the practice. The practice is, okay, I like to use the example of The Office because it's a very easy example. Okay. You're the boss. Okay. Excuse me. You're the employee. Okay. And you're looking at your boss, and you're always kind of like, not with admiration, but with a little bit of jealousy. Like you wish you had your boss's position. There's a little bit of like, that person is above you. Right. And so what you do is you put yourself in the position of the boss. You go into their eyes. And then you as yourself look back at you. Sorry, translators. I should have warned you this class was coming. Your eyes are in your boss's eyes, looking back at you as the employee. And now you're trying to see what it's like to perceive your behavior towards the boss. What is it like to have me, as an employee? Okay. You're looking back at yourself as the employee and then wondering, what is it like for the boss to have me as an employee? Okay. And then you start watching yourself from the perspective of the boss. And then you start noticing how self-cherishingly annoying you are. You start recognizing the ways, what it feels like to be the boss when the employee resists their direction. What does it feel like to be the boss when the employee is like jealous of you? Right? What are all the things that you do from the perspective of the boss? And how does the boss feel about you? Okay. All right. That's step one. Now there's another step. Okay. Now we're the opposite. Now we're the boss and we have employees. Okay. Now, as the boss, you're now in a position above somebody else. Now, think about, so the first step was we're in a position where we're below somebody, right? We're subordinate in whatever way. Like there's someone who's above us, a boss, another I don't know. You can apply this to any situation. So now we're the opposite. Now we're the boss and we have employees, right? Finally, we're the boss. We can tell everybody what to do. Right? And they have to listen to me because I'm the boss. I'm the boss. Get it? Right. So then you do the same thing. Now we're going to exchange ourselves and others. We're going to go into the employee's mind, eyeballs, turn around, look back at us as a boss, and then try to feel what it feels like to be bossed around by yourself, by by you as the boss. What does that feel like? It doesn't feel really good. You're like, hey, Tim, go do this. Tim, go do that. Tim, go do this. And it's like, there's the pride. Like, why does he think he's better than everybody else? Why does he treat us like this? I don't feel recognized. I don't feel heard. My opinion doesn't matter. It's only Tim, the boss's opinion that matters. Okay. What does it feel like? Right? That pride that's coming from the boss. What does it feel like to receive it? What does it feel like? I told you 2 weeks ago about this and you didn't do it. I don't remember you telling me. This feels awful, right? No, but it really does, right? And if you're doing this practice correctly, you should feel uncomfortable. You should feel a little destabilized. It's like bodhisattvic schizophrenia, right? That's the second step. Third step is you're working with a coworker, right? You're working on a project together. Like you're two ACI volunteers. How about that, right? Neither one of you is the boss. You already have a boss who you don't like, but I'm still being the ACI volunteer because I believe in ACI. I hope you don't think that about ACI, but so you have two people who are coworkers. Then you put yourself into the other person's eyes, looking back at you. And what does it feel like to receive competitiveness from yourself? What does that look like? Oh, I'm going to take every project so I can plant the most seeds. I'm not going to let anybody help me because I'm going to make myself look better in front of the boss. So I get the promotion. I'm going to strive to beat everybody else. What does it feel like to be pushed around by a coworker because all they want is the promotion? I'm going to prove to everybody else that I'm the best. Right? What does it feel like to receive that from yourself? Alternatively, right? What would it feel like to receive support from you as the coworker, where you're being uplifted? You heard that Tim told the boss what a great job you did today. You see them trying to help you advance in your career, right? You see them helping you with the problem that you have, instead of being like, ha, 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 they have that problem, they're going to get in trouble, and I'm going to look the best. There's a difference in that feeling. And if you can do this meditation really well, what I said already is this will start, you'll start feeling a little like schizophrenic, in the sense of you don't know which voice to listen to. I want that promotion. I know what it feels like when I'm being competitive. It sucks, but I want that promotion. Should I go praise my friend for the good job they just did? Or should I run into the office and be like, look, we just got this done. Look how well I did. Here's the report. Right? And you'll be battling yourself. You'll be battling your Doc Chenzen with, what does it feel like to be competitive with other people? Or what does it feel like to be jealous? Or what does it feel like to be prideful? The best leaders understand that. It doesn't mean that as a boss, you don't make decisions. As a boss, it doesn't mean that you don't drive the team or guide. But it's different, right? It feels a lot different when everyone's opinion is accounted for, when everybody has been taken into account and respected and heard. By the way, that's the way that people will listen to you anyway. Why do some people, when they open their mouth, everybody does what they say? And then why do some people, when they open their mouth, everyone's like giving them the middle finger? Right? You know, so in that way, it's like, this is, if you don't do any other practice in your life, this will be the practice that will take you, that'll help you reach every one of your worldly goals and every one of your spiritual goals. Look in someone's eyes, looking back at you and trying to figure out what it is they need and want from you. And then cut out all the negative behaviors. Cut out your pride, cut out your jealousy, cut out your competitiveness. Good luck. Class over. Just kidding. But that's the practice. That's the practice. Are you going to fail? Yes. Get used to it. Okay. But it's not a failure when you're trying. That's the whole point, is just try. Will Doc Chenzen take over? Yes. When does Doc Chenzen leave? Probably around Bodhisattva level 8. Okay. We got a little time. Be okay with it. Even an Arya who has seen emptiness directly still has Doc Chenzen. but they understand it perfectly. They still have self-cherishing, but they don't believe it. They don't believe it's coming from its own side. They know how to attenuate it. So here are some things that you think about. Okay, so you've done exchanging self and others. You're now in the point of view of the other person. Like looking back, let's do the competitive one. You're looking back at the coworker who is you, right? And you're feeling all this competitiveness. So your mind is kind of split into two. Your mind is in the other person and your mind is in yourself. Looking back at you. So from the point of view of what you learn is that, first of all, the other person deserves to get all the honor. Have you ever watched what Geshe Michael does? He'll be like, yeah, and Venerable Jigme translated Choni Lama's commentary to the Diamond Cutter Sutra. Oh, Tim translated in the Abhisamaya Alankara. Did he? Really? Jigme's always like, I think, she's like, I sat with him at the cafe while he translated it. This is what Venerable Jigme tells me. She was sitting at the cafe while Geshe Michael translated Choni Lama's commentary to the Diamond Cutter Sutra. And then he just tells the whole world that she did it. When my first book comes out, he's going to tell the whole world that I translated Kedrup Tenpa Darge's book. It's true, I created a translation of it. It's true that I sat in all the classes and did a translation. Was it my translation that gets in that book? Maybe I'll be lucky if Geshe Michael chooses one of my lines, right? But he'll tell the whole world that I translated it, right? Everybody else deserves the honor. Okay. How do you think you get honored by others? Okay. That person should get all the things. They should get the promotion. They should get the cookie. They should get the money, not us. They should be praised and I should be belittled. Okay. That person should be praised. They get all the honor. They get all the praise. It is so wonderful. It's such a wonderful feeling when you know that you did all the work and everyone else thinks that the other person did and that person is praised. Do you know how good that feels? It feels amazing when everybody else is like cheering somebody on who never got any praise in their life. And then the thing happens and people are like, well, I didn't do it. The other person did it. And then I say, you're not getting praised because you did the work. You got praised because you praised other people. So just take it. This person should have all the happiness, right? That person should relax and I should do all the work. Okay. That's different than taking work from others so you can get the seeds and get the promotion. It's different. That person should be famous and we should be unknown. Okay. And Shanti Davis says something really interesting. He says, oops, sorry. If we end up having good qualities, it's pretty much an accident that we have them. So we should just keep it secret. We shouldn't talk to people about our good qualities. Let's see. Whatever good qualities we have, he says it's from some other seeds anyway. It's a little depressing. And I don't 100% agree with that, but it's a sutric way of understanding it. Is that we shouldn't tell people about it. Let's see. So it's not a full screen for a pick. Let's find out what happened here. Is it full screen now? Yep, this is good now. Okay, not sure what happened. Okay. Anyway. But we should keep that. There she is, right? You should keep it secret. Keep it to yourself. Like my teacher, I never know. He's like the things that he knows and the things he can do are extraordinary, but he never talks about it. He'll show you sometimes. But it's extraordinary what he can do, but he doesn't talk about it. Mainly anymore. Mainly, right? But you don't need to show off and tell people how good you are. Your seeds will take care of that. You can't hide it anyway. Your seeds can't hide it, but don't get prideful about it. So Shantideva then goes on to say, well, he gets a lot of complaints, right? I get these, this is pretty harsh. Okay, he gets a little harsh here. So I probably wouldn't say this to any of my students, but he says, what if people complain? Like, I've been doing these practices. I've been doing everything and nothing works. Nothing's changing. Shantideva's answer is basically, then you're not doing the practices. He's basically saying, it would be impossible for you to be where you are right now if you were doing exchanging in self for others correctly. He's saying, if you do this practice well, you can get everything that you possibly ever could have wanted and more. But if you want to see how you can look at people and see the level of self-cherishing they have very, very quickly. And then how do you help them? That's mainly the question. Like I would never say something like that to somebody, like it's not kind. Right? Until they're ready, of course, right? If the student's ready, then I'll say it. But if they're not ready yet, then you work all different kinds of angles. Like you try to, try to trick them into helping people. That's why we have DCI. That's why when people ask me to do like for advice, I give them projects, I give them things to do. Hey, go work with this person. If your teacher ever asks you to work with somebody, you should be suspicious right away, because they're putting you in a position to have an affliction with the person they asked you to work with. You should be suspicious. And if you're too suspicious, your teacher will know you're suspicious and they will find sneakier and sneakier ways to do it. Okay. Their job is to get you to recognize your self-cherishing and then to do something about it. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell someone and how blue in the face you are doing it. It's only when they recognize it for themselves. When you see it in yourself. And the day that you see it, you finally see it, will probably be one of the saddest days you'll ever have in your life. Because then you'll realize how much you hurt people and you didn't even realize you were doing it. But it's a good realization, because it's the saddest day and also the most liberating day of your life. Because now you can do something with it. Now you have the key to changing it. Now you have the key to liberation. Because you finally saw your selfishness for the first time. So don't get depressed. You're allowed to cry for 5 minutes. I did. I still do. Right? It's okay to cry and feel bad about how you've hurt people, and you should feel bad. Okay. But you also know that seed will have to come back to you as well. That kind of regret, you'll have to experience it. Okay, fine. Allow yourself to feel it. Understand that you hurt people, and then move on. Don't wallow in your self-misery for weeks. All right. See it, recognize it for what it was. Rejoice that you saw it. It's an amazingly beautiful seed to be able to see it. To be able to finally see who that greatest enemy is. It's not the person out there. It's not the person yelling at you. It's not the nasty text you get. It's not any of those. It's not any of those. Because it's coming from a different seed anyway. You then have an opportunity to do something different. It's an opportunity for change. Your selfishness is an opportunity for change. And Shantideva goes on finally to talk about our body and how our self-cherishing focuses so much on our body. And he says that the body doesn't care whether it's worshipped or whether it's insulted. He said it's like a dead piece of wood. It doesn't care. Your mind cares. Right? but we're so attached to our body that the more that we care only for our body, the more sensitive that body becomes to insults or praises. And it's a really hard thing. I mean, yesterday it was a beautiful teaching moment. Yesterday, I had a great meditation. I stood up, I walked across this kitchen, and I went outside to change the laundry. Okay. And all of a sudden, under my arm, I felt like I thought I pulled a muscle. It was like this sharp pain in my back. I was like, that's weird. And then I felt another sharp pain on my hip. And I was like, oh my God. And so I ripped off my shirt, you know, and I didn't see what it was, but I think it was a little scorpion. Had crawled up me while I was meditating, went into my armhole, right? Into my shirt hole, right? And then when I moved, bit me or stung me. Or it could have been, I don't know. I didn't see it. It hurt a lot, right? And then I started swelling up. My hip's actually swollen. My arm is not swollen anymore. But it was terrible pain. Then my mom called, like as I'm like writhing in pain, right? Like good karma, right? Mom calls. You want your mom when you're in pain, right? But mom was mad at me. And mom was mad at me because I forgot to call her on her birthday on Friday. Okay. I messed up the days. She is always the day after the 4th of July. I didn't go to the fireworks. I was upset about something. I just was like in my house all day, didn't see fireworks. So I forgot it was my mom's birthday. She was mad. I called her the next day 3 times. She wasn't home. Eventually I called her. She was at a party with friends. And she was mad at me. Right. And then she called me in the morning and I couldn't talk. I was having coffee with a friend. And I tried to call her throughout the day. So she finally calls me back. She's mad. And now I've got stung by this, whatever it was, animal. Right. And I got totally lost in taking care of myself. Right. It hurt. Okay. I'm swelling up, right? I'm afraid I'm going to have an anaphylactic reaction to this, I'm going to go into like shock or something, and I had planned an apology to my mom, right? I had already planned what I was going to say to her, how I was going to help her feel better, you know, you know, make it up to her in some way because it's awful. Like forgetting your mom's birthday is terrible. There's one birthday you can't forget is your maker. Okay. She made you, right? If it's important to your mom, and it's important to my mom. But I was unable to apologize because all I could think about was this. And, she asked questions, she calmed me down like a mom would. Maybe that was the learning. Like I actually gave mom what she really wanted, is she wanted to be a mom. So maybe I did help her. I still feel bad about it. Right. But my body took over. I was so concerned about my body that I couldn't care for my mom. Right. And it makes sense. Like, why would you of course, mom's not going to be upset. I'm trying to have an apology plan. I'm trying to make her feel better. And I just got stung by a scorpion. Right. Perfectly reasonable, perfectly logical. It's about this. It's the same exact logic as the person who wrote me the other day. Right. They're hurt. And they wrote me a whole bunch of stuff about why they were hurt attacking me, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing going on. So how do I respond to that text message, right? She's in pain. She's suffering. She feels disconnected, all of these things. So how do I respond? Do I say, well, that wasn't really nice. That hurt my feelings. And then snap back? Or do I just say, well, let's talk about this. It seems like I want to understand your perspective a little bit more. Because that's what I would want someone to say when I'm pissed off. I don't want them to yell back at me and tell me why I'm acting like a toddler, because I probably am. I want to be heard. I want to be recognized. I want my feelings validated. I want to be understood. I want to feel connected. I want to feel love. How does yelling at somebody else help you feel love? Well, it doesn't, but your Doc Chenzen thinks it does. Your self-cherishing thinks it does. So if you can recognize all of that, then it would change your behavior. Do I want to yell back? Yes. Versus like, I know. I want to yell back. Yes. And then I just suck it up and tell Doc Chenzen to take a rest and say, we're going to be much happier if we do it this way. It's not what we want to do. It's actually probably more uncomfortable to have the real conversation than to yell back. Or my normal MO is actually not to yell back. My normal MO is just to ignore. I'm going to distance myself. I'm going to avoid this problem, right? Still, Doc Chenzen. What does it feel like to be ignored, Tim? Right? Same thing, different. It's still the same thing. What does it feel like to be pulled, to have the person, you're reaching out for connection and that person pulls away? Right? Same thing. This is, I will love you tomorrow, but today I gotta go. Bye, Veronica. Have a nice day. I will love you tomorrow, but today I gotta go. Yeah. No, but that's the thing. It's really Shanti Deva, and this is all in the meditation chapter, right? He brings all of this around from meditating to compassion, self-cherishing, and now you have your meditation served up for you on a platter. Sit in meditation, bring the person in front of you, your boss, your coworker, your employee, your partner, whomever it is, and exchange self for others, and just sit, go into their mind, looking back at you, and see how they experience you. And when you're honest with yourself, it is the most uncomfortable thing you can do, and the most powerful thing you can do as well. Yay, thank you, Shantideva. It's time to go. We'll leave you with that. Please, please, please. This is your meditation. This can be your lifelong meditation. This can be your tantric meditation, because you can do that and then sit with them and say, are you just my partner, or are you an enlightened being? Are you just my boss, or are you trying to teach me something? And you can do both of those things at the same time. And then both of those things together will rapidly change your mind and your heart and your world for that matter. All right, mic drop. Bye. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next Wednesday. I will be in Barcelona in the normal time for all of you. And we will have a review of all of this. Oh, I like that. Turn your mind inside out. We'll be going through all of this. I'm going to be giving you probably something a little bit like what are they called? A dessert. Thank you. I'll give you a dessert. Something to take away with this from Shantideva. But if you can, this can become your heart practice. So we'll see you next week. And if you're sticking around for Lam Rim, come back in a half an hour. Thank you, translators. Thank you, everyone who makes these classes possible. And I will see you very shortly. And if you're taking off, let's say goodbye to everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim.
Great
Thank
class.
you.
Muchas gracias, maestro Tim.
Grazie mille, maestro Tim.
Ciao.
Buona giornata a tutti quanti.
Благодарю, дорогой Тим.
Mình nhớ là có lớp học sống với Lam Rim lúc 10 giờ đến khoảng 11 giờ tối nay, khoảng 30 phút nữa trùng trong một cái Zoom này ha. Mọi người muốn học thì mọi người hãy ở lại Zoom, nghỉ ngơi một lát và gặp lại thầy Tim vào 10 giờ tối nay.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Thank you,
Cả
Tim.
nhà đã lắng
Auf
nghe.
Wiedersehen.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye. See you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye bye.
谢谢翻译老师。
Thank you.
Bye bye.